It's lovely to see your smiling faces, all flushed with expectation for a wonderful year, continuing your journey. My name is Chris Knauf, and I'm the registrar. We'll have met with some of you perhaps online before, and it's good to see you again. We, as we gather, we want to acknowledge that the land on which Catholic Theological College rests in East Melbourne is the land of the Wurundjeri and Woiwurrung people, and we acknowledge their elders, past, present and emerging, and we acknowledge them as the traditional owners of the land that we are now enjoying and are privileged to be hosted on. Tonight we've got a short program that hopefully will give you some information, some inspiration, and a good sense that you at least know how to start come next Monday. So we're going to introduce, and I'll just introduce by name to start with, and then we'll work through those folk. Our speakers, we've got 4 speakers this evening, beginning with the very Reverend Dr. Kevin Lenihan, who should be on my screen at the moment. Wave, Kevin. There's Kevin. The Reverend Dr. Simon Waite, who has the headset on right there in front of a bookshelf. And Annalise Reeves, who is one of our wonderful library staff. Hi, Annalise, welcome. And Jude Caspers, who I haven't seen yet, but will be joining us.
He's here.
Hello. Hello, Jude. Nice to see you. Thank you for speaking up. And Jude is our student support coordinator, and we'll be speaking to you a little bit later. All right, so let's begin with Father Kevin, who will get us underway.
Great, thanks, Chris. Let me share my screen, and then I can talk more sensibly. So here we go. So thanks, and let me echo Chris's welcome to you all. It's great to see you. Great to see many of you here for the first time. Welcome to people who are newly arrived in Melbourne, people who are newly connected to CTC for study. And I echo the acknowledgement of country as well. What I hope to do today, that looks a bit funny, doesn't it? Can we get out of there, into there, into there? Let me try again. What I hope to do today is just to give you a quick introduction to CTC, Catholic Theological College, belonging to a wider group, the University of Divinity, an ecumenical university of specialisation here in Australia. And we do that on our 50th anniversary. So under a rubric of those 3 words, remember, celebrate and imagine, the college is celebrating this last year and this year its 50th year as in establishment. So I can say a word or two about that establishment as we move forward. So Catholic Theological College is to a large extent the result of the vision of the 5th Archbishop of Melbourne, Archbishop at the time, then Cardinal James Robert Knox, who came here to Melbourne after a career in the diplomatic corps of the church. He'd worked all around the world and came to Melbourne, was appointed here after the Second Vatican Council, that meeting of the world's bishops in the 1960s that re-articulated the church's self-understanding and mission in relationship to the contemporary globalizing world of the time. So Knox came with a particular experience internationally and with a great deal of skill at managing people, at forging a vision and a strategy for the pastoral life of the church. He was responsible for establishing many of the agencies and aspects of Catholic education, Catholic welfare, Catholic health that we know today. And it was he who invited at the time a range of religious orders and dioceses who all had run their own formation houses for trainee priests. The Oblate Fathers, the Jesuit Fathers, the Salesian Fathers, the diocese in Victoria, all had their own training houses for priests. And Knox invited people to gather around a table and to talk about how can we share resources and share our vision to offer a top quality theological education for ordination candidates, people trained to be priests, but also open to the baptized members of the church, to other people in the church. He was here thinking about the vision of the Second Vatican Council that didn't produce a document on theology as such. It did produce a landmark document on revelation and scripture in Catholic understanding, but it did also wrote documents on the training of priests and the apostolate of lay people and how those two things can work together. And it also produced a document on the ecumenical challenge to the church. So Knox had a vision of just developing a theological program through the sharing of resources of the existing theologates in a way that would bring together ordinands, people training for ordination, and other people in the church, lay people training for a variety of reasons or for mutual enrichment and interest in the church, and to do that in the ecumenical context of the Melbourne College of Divinity, which began, if I can, so let me go back one step. So CTC then developed as a partnership between the diocese of the Catholic Diocese of Victoria and Tasmania, Melbourne, Ballarat, Sale, Sandhurst or Bendigo, and Tasmania, Hobart. And currently we have this number of 7 religious congregations, religious orders: Franciscans, Dominicans, the Missionaries of God's Love, the Oblates of Mary Immaculate, Salesians of Don Bosco, the Salvatoran Fathers, and Society of Jesus. So each of these come together to create a federation, which is the college. The federation is arranged around their shared seminary needs, but seminary needs open to collaboration with lay people and within the ecumenical setting. So the mission of the college revolves around the theological vision to promote the study and research in theology and all its various disciplines: biblical studies, church history, ancient languages, the languages of the Bible, the languages of the ancient world, spirituality, moral and pastoral theology, some of the more practical subjects, religious education, I know some of you are here for, education, church law, canon law, pastoral counselling, any of these many areas that make up the broad field of theology. To do that in a way that educates a variety of ministers for the church, some ordained, priests and permanent deacons, others in religious life, in consecrated life, others in a variety of ministries within the church, and increasingly, of course, people are called to undertake various tasks in their parishes, in their communities, in their workplaces on behalf of the church, and all of those avenues for education and training. All of that, of course, is to help to proclaim the gospel, or as the Archdiocese of Melbourne likes to say today, to help people to take the way of the gospel. That is, to introduce the gospel to the culture and the culture to the gospel. So this is really the work of evangelization, and much of what we do at the college is to enable people, both ordained and lay people, for the work of evangelization, to introduce the gospel to the culture and the culture to the gospel in whatever field we find ourselves. To do that in a way that empowers people for the pastoral service of the church in a contemporary, multicultural, pluralistic Australian society. We no longer live in the 1960s, even the era of the council, and we have to translate and reinterpret, recontextualise the challenges of the council for a much more globalised, multicultural, multi-faith and secular society today than Australia was in the 1960s. So how do we empower people in a particular way, in an appropriate pastoral and educational style, to respond to those contemporary needs? As I said, part of the vision of CTC is to study within an ecumenical setting. And for us, that meant in 1972, applying for admission to what was then called the Melbourne College of Divinity, which was founded in 1910 by an act of the Victorian Parliament. A most remarkable thing, if you remember, the modern ecumenical movement began really in 1910 with what was known as the Edinburgh Conference. That led up to the formation after World War II of the World Council of Churches and so on. But already from 1910, in Australia, a number of the churches of the Reformation had joined together in order to provide training for their ministers. And in 1972, by a change of the Victorian Act, Catholic colleges were admitted to that confederation as well. A most remarkable story of ecumenical collaboration. I think the oldest continuing ecumenical educational facility organisation in the world. In 2012, the Melbourne College of Divinity, because of changes to the federal higher education environment, applied for and received accreditation as a University of Australia, a university accredited in its specialisation of theology and associated disciplines, or what has been called divinity, another umbrella term for all those disciplines. So the University of Divinity, of which CTC is a member, operates under the vision statement that together we empower our learning community to address the issues of the contemporary world through a critical engagement with Christian theological traditions. And that summarises well our aim too at CTC. The University of Divinity then is made up of 12 colleges, 2 Catholic colleges, Catholic Theological College in East Melbourne, that's ourselves, and Yarra Theological Union, which was formed at the same time as CTC by another grouping of religious congregations, the Blessed Sacrament Fathers, the Redemptorist Fathers, another group of Franciscans, the Divine Word missionaries, and a number of others. And they're located in Box Hill, many here in Melbourne. Some of you would be familiar with Yarra Theological Union. So they're both Catholic theological colleges in the University of Divinity. Eva Burrows College is the Salvation Army College of Australia, based both in Melbourne and in Sydney. Wollaston College in Brisbane is an Anglican college. St Francis College in Perth is an Anglican college. Sorry, Wollaston College in Perth, St Francis College in Brisbane. St Athanasius is the Coptic Orthodox College located here in Melbourne. Whitley College is the Baptist college located here in Melbourne. St Barnabas College in Adelaide is an Anglican college. Luther College in Adelaide is obviously the Lutheran college for the Australian Church. Trinity College in Melbourne is an Anglican college. Pilgrim is Uniting Church College here in Melbourne, and the Uniting College of Leadership and Theology is in Adelaide. So there are 3 colleges in Adelaide, 1 in Perth, 1 in Brisbane, and the rest here based in Melbourne, although some of those colleges with a wider reach itself. All the colleges of the university share together a set of, if you like, graduate attributes or goals that we aim for in all our programs, and they are these: that all our graduates are equipped to learn, to articulate, to communicate, to engage, and to serve in our various contexts. So that, of course, leads us to you and to tonight. Some of you are coming to study in theology and religious topics perhaps for the first time. Others of you will have a rich background in this. Some of you have been members of churches all your life. Some of you may not have been. Some of you might have no religious affiliation at this time. From our starting points, of course, that shapes up what perhaps you're feeling as you log in tonight, what your level of interest is, what your level of anxiety is about coming to the college. You might be in an ordination program, you might be working in a school or in a parish or in a hospital. Whatever reason has brought you to come to this point, we recognise that you're here with your own life story, with your own experience of God, of light and darkness in that life story and in that experience of God. We're all living in a not really post-COVID, a continuing COVID world, in a climate emergency, and with an increasingly fractious international world order. It's very different to, I think, the meeting we'd be having even 6 or 7 years ago when we would meet in an orientation like this. So I think that has its impact on all of us and on our emotional, cognitive, spiritual state as we come to face our theological studies at this time, whether we're here for personal enrichment or for professional accreditation or for a broader vocational journey. Perhaps you've been away from study for some time. Perhaps you've never studied humanities subjects. Perhaps you've never written an essay. You might be an IT major. So all of those things are probably on your mind as you face into these studies. So we hope that the rest of this evening's information will help to at least point you in the direction that whatever questions you have, whatever your experience might be coming into this, that there's a direction that you can take that forward as we move on. The hope is that that the study that we do is not only professionally useful, although it certainly aims to be that, but is also a personal development. It's a personal enrichment. Any sort of learning is both functional and characterful. That creates the person we are. The things we learn make us the persons we are. So that we hope that this is not just a pragmatic activity over the next while you're enroll with us, but that you feel that you graduate, you walk away a fuller human being for the experience that you've had with us, and stronger in your Christian or other worldview as you take that forward in reflecting in your study here today. If I wanted to sum that up, then I think what we're trying to do here at the college is to enhance your understanding of Christian faith and its traditions, to develop skills for ministry, for pastoral care, and to deepen a spiritual awareness and practice in our own lives and in the ministries and works that we do, and ultimately then to make a difference to the world. So I might not myself take questions directly here, but rather direct to other people as we go through the various speakers who are presenting different aspects of our program today. So Chris, I'll hand back to you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks very much for that enlightening talk. We're now going to invite our academic dean, Reverend Dr. Simon Waite, to address us on the academic life of the college. Thank you very much, Simon.
Thank you very much for that, Chris. I'm just sharing my screen now. I trust you can see that. So I'll give you a bit of an overview of the academic landscape of the studies at CTC. Of course, it's as Kevin was outlining, it's a journey for our personal journey, which encompasses the whole life experience. But a key part of that, of course, is our academic aspect. So as we think about the academics, it is really a journey. What you'll find is that you might be starting out with a diploma, and that might begin a journey all the way into a bachelor and perhaps postgraduate study, or it might just finish at the end of the diploma, or you might be there's a whole range of different possible journeys. You might be starting at the graduate level and then continuing on from a diploma to a master's and so forth. So everyone's journey is unique, and we aim to cater for all your journeys. As Kevin has outlined, there are the 5 University of Divinity graduate attributes. These are important to reflect on from, in a sense, what you're aiming for at the end, to have these capabilities, these qualities when you graduate. You'll find them in many places in the material that you're given over the years. So when it comes down to actual coming to class, I mean, some of you will be online. Some of you will be on the other side of the world, actually. Some of you will be in Melbourne. And so whether you're attending online or whether you're attending face-to-face, or whether you're actually doing this as asynchronous units, there is an attendance requirement. So for asynchronous units, it might be sort of doing something on a bulletin board or something like that. For attendance face-to-face, it's obvious, and same with online synchronous learning where you're on Zoom, as we are tonight. So any student who misses 2 or more classes will be notified to me and or the postgraduate coordinator. So so that we can not so that you know, it's not punitive, it's just so that we can follow up and see if there's some issue that's happening, so that we can give you the support that you need. That's one of the key things I'd like to impress here tonight, is that I don't know if you know about real estate, but in real estate the adage is location, location, location. Isn't that right? Well, in studies here at CTC, the adage is communication, communication, communication. If you're having difficulties and you communicate early and frequently, then we can do a lot to help you. If you're having difficulties and you don't communicate and it gets near the end of semester, there's very little we can do to help you. So communicate early, communicate, and we'll be able to assist you in all so many different ways. So if you are unwell or unable to participate for some reason, do advise your lecturer, and they will in due course advise myself or the postgraduate coordinator. So that's a key thing I'd like you to take away from tonight. So study skills, you'll be hearing from our our learning support coordinator, Jude Caspers, expertly about this, but just remember that there is study support and study skill sessions available, which can aid you. And so we'll be looking at that a little bit later with Jude. Academic integrity. This is an important one. You might have been hearing in the news about ChatGPT and all sorts of other artificial intelligence things. We take academic integrity seriously at the University of Divinity, and so we'd like you to take that seriously too. What does that mean? It means that when you present work as your own, it is your own work, and anything that you use is referenced, so that you're transparent in where you get the information. That's a very important thing. So when you put in your assessment, you'll be acknowledging in this sort of statement here that the work is your own, and that any sort of material you might have taken from somewhere else you've actually acknowledged, and so that that's fully transparent. That's particularly important for essays, but for all the work here at CTC that you'll be doing. So, and that's sort of fair enough, because effectively, if you don't acknowledge something, it's like taking something and pretending it's your own. It's a bit like theft, isn't it? So we want to be fully transparent and be able to say that, you know, this is our work and we've taken this from here. And so it gives acknowledgement where acknowledgement is due. So there's the definition of plagiarism, where you're using somebody else's work as though it was your own. But if you make proper attribution, you know, with footnotes and endnotes and things like that, then, and it's done appropriately, then that works out to be fine. It shows that you're reading widely. So you put something in quote marks, you put something with a footnote, that shows you're reading widely, and that gives a good understanding of where you're coming from, what you've learned from, and you're then able to present that in the way in which you're assessed. Recycling is an interesting one. That's where you use something that you've done, which is your own work, from one unit into another unit. So unless the unit itself requires redrafting of early work, and some units have that where you do a scaffold and then you build on that for the next piece of assessment, unless it's like that, then you can't reuse a piece of assessment in a previous unit for a new unit. That's recycling, and that's picked up by our Turnitin software, which prevents that from occurring. The style guide, this is very important. When you're writing essays or any of your papers, you have to be able to attribute things properly, as we were saying earlier. And to do that, in a way which is scholarly, there is a style guide which says, okay, this is the way you set out your footnotes. Why do we have style guides? They're there so that it's possible to actually find the material that you're talking about. You can have your own way of referring to things, but unless it's a standard format, then you can find that you miss things and people can't find what's needed. So every publisher, every university will have a style guide which you have to follow so that the footnotes, the references you make, are appropriate and are clear and are able to then be found by the person reading. And the first person who reads it, of course, is the lecturer who will be marking it. So we'll hear a little bit later on to Annalise will show you something about the University Style Guide on the Library Hub. The next thing is what happens if something comes up during your studies and something you don't expect, something you can't foresee. You can get extensions to assessments, extensions to essays, extensions to papers, and so forth. A lecturer can give you up to 2 weeks extension, and a dean, myself, or the postgraduate coordinator can give you up to 4 weeks extension. These are on specific forms that you'll find on, you can see the link there on the website Studying at CTC Assessment Forms. You'll find it if you go on, when you get onto ARC, you'll find under ARC CTC Student Resources. And in that place, you'll find there are the forms that you'll need. Please use the forms there, particularly for seminarians, because it has special sections that allow Deans of Studies to sign off on extensions if you do have a Dean of Studies. So that's it. If something comes up, we can give you those extensions. Now, something might happen which is extraordinary. For instance, someone's close relative, like a parent, has died, and you have to fly overseas to be with the family, with the funeral, and it's going to take a long time to come back. For that, we can do special grading considerations, or it's now called special assessment considerations, where we can change assessment, give you extra time, and work it so that it's fair, but it's appropriate for your circumstances. So just remember that. And we can do all of that, of course, if you communicate nice and early. That's the key. As soon as something happens, let me know, and we can do something for you. In addition to those supports, we also have a student support plan. This is important if you are aware of something that affects your ability to learn, such as a disability or an illness, an incapacity, then you can talk to myself or the postgraduate coordinator, Paul Sharkey, to be able to then draw up a student support plan for you, which will then be administered by the Dean and also by Jude Caspers, the Learning Support Coordinator, to enable you to have the supports you need to complete the course that you're doing. This can have a range of things. We can do things like having extensions sort of much more easily granted. We can have things where we can turn written exams into oral exams. We can arrange for someone to be an assistant writer if you need that in an exam. So there's all sorts of things we can do for that. But for that, just approach myself or the postgraduate coordinator if you need to have that type of support. And we will help you with that, of course, for all of these support plans and also for the extensions and the special assessment considerations. We do need some documentary evidence. So just be aware of that, that if you are asking for these things, we just need some documentary evidence to back that up. Okay, there's lots of information on the CTC website. The CTC website is ctc.edu.au. There's a plethora of information there. You'll see one of the points there is the prospectus. It's always good to look at that at the end of each year, where you can see what's coming up for next year. There's lots of information there, not only about the college, but also about the university and about all the studies. The one tab that you'll probably find the most useful will be the one on the far right, which talks about calendars and timetables. There you'll get the full CTC timetable for all the semesters and what's on and when, and that will assist you with the working out when your units are, working out what you'd like to do next, all of those sort of things. Normally, the timetable for the following year is normally up on the website by about October sometime. So you can then have a look at seeing what you'd like to do next year. So I pray you enjoy your learning journey with us, and that it is a joyful time, and that you learn a great deal and are able to use that in whatever way to further your ministry or to allow you to participate in the church in whatever way you're called to. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Father Simon. Good to hear. Now, we've got some other members of staff with us tonight, and I'm just going to quickly introduce them. If you could give a wave and a hello, perhaps unmute yourself briefly. We've got Reverend Dr. Max Vidola, who is the head of church history and also the coordinator for higher degree research students. And so hello, Max, and thank you. And we've also got Sister Dr. Frances Baker, who is the person who particularly looks after those of you who are doing the graduate certificate in teaching religious education. So a great welcome to you. Now, I'm not sure if Paul Sharkey has arrived at this point. Are you there, Paul? Not yet. We might come to you a little later. And two very important people who work in the Academic Records Office with me, Jenny Delahunt, who is there in my top left anyway, and Tirindi Fernando. And it's these two young women work in our academic records office, and you will probably be seeing a lot of them, hearing from them a lot. You will already have had communication from one or the other of us. And so a good welcome to them as well, especially to Tirindi, who is newly with us. Now, the next person we're going to hear from is Annalise Reeves, who is one of our wonderful librarians. We have a fantastic library in the Mannix Library, and Annalise is going to introduce that to us tonight. Thanks, Annalise.
Thanks, Chris. I'll just share my screen if I can. There we go. So I am one of the 4 librarians that is at Mannix Library. So I'll be seeing a lot of you all. If you don't, I'll be sad not to see faces. But so I'm just going to give you a very brief introduction of the Mannix Library and the Hub. And don't worry if you don't remember everything that I say. I don't know what happened. Something didn't work out right. So I don't know where I dropped out just then. I'll start again. Many apologies, everyone. Okay. I have a new computer, so this might be it. Anyway, okay. So Mannix Library is located upstairs at CTC. So please come along and say hi. Our hours are normally 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And if there's classes on in the evenings, we'll be open then, or if there's classes on a Saturday, we'll be open then. So it'll be a matter of checking the timetable, but you can see our hours on mannix.org.au, and they'll always be there and updated. So you can check them out there. As for borrowing, students, you can borrow up to 20 items for 3 weeks, which is pretty good. And there's always renewing and putting things on hold. So you don't have to worry about that. No excuses to getting good resources from us. And we also have printing and photocopying services available, scanning, Wi-Fi. We are a library, so you have all the things that you'd hope a library would have available to you. We have a return chute as well out the front of the library upstairs. We also have one at our front desk, so you can return them to us easy peasy. So the Mannix Library website is mannix.org.au, as I said. And up here you can see, yeah, our hours button is there, so you can check the hours again. And the guide here will give you a bit of information about borrowing services and just the little FAQs and all of our names. So we're all there and you can find out a little bit about us. Also on this page, you can obviously pop in a search here, which will take you to our library catalogue, or alternatively, you can click on the Library Hub button up here, which is going to take you to this lovely page, which will become one of your best friends during your study, which also will give you the option of searching the catalogue. So you can pop in a keyword, an author, a title of a book, and it will take you to the catalogue that's shared amongst the University of Divinity. So not only Mannix Library, but the other colleges that are affiliated with us who are in the shared system. So we've got a bit of information about the libraries here, and our databases and so on. And guides is where you'll find the style guide, which Father Simon mentioned, and a little bit more information, which I will get to in a second. So the web address for the Library Hub is also here, if that is of interest to you. You don't need to take photos. We have emails coming out. We'll be shooting you down with information. So you will be kept informed all the time. So now to do a local search on Library Hub, once you've popped in your key search, there'll be just these fields here on the side, and you can limit them down to the particular library that you'd like to borrow from. So if you're in at Mannix,
We've lost you again, Annalise.
I have no idea what's happening. I've been here the whole time. I'm so sorry, everyone. It's always the way when it's my turn. Okay, so I don't know, where did where did I leave off? Was I doing a search on the hub? Yes, okay, cool. Boy, bear with me, we will get through this. Okay, so yeah, limiting your search to Mannix Library, you'll find resources that we have in Mannix Library, and you can limit them down to a book or whatnot. Information of the items that we have. So the catalogue item here says it's available at Mannix Library, and it says the shelving location it's at. And we also have it available as an ebook. So anything that's available as an ebook will come up with a big red button. So you'll be able to access that. Another thing I'll point out that's on the catalogue is the course reserves button. This is particularly useful because it puts all of your units for a semester in a list, and it will show you where the call number is, if there's ebooks available. So it's very, very useful for you, so that everything that you need to see for your unit is in one place. Obviously, items that are on course reserve can't be taken out of the library, but we normally have a second copy or an ebook available that you can access at the time. Now, if you click on an ebook, you'll be prompted to log in with your Library Hub login, which is your ARC details. So that'll be your email address that you gave at the start of semester, and it will be also your password that you set for your ARC details. And don't be confused with the sign-in that you see up the top of the catalogue. I'll go into this in a few weeks' time when we do our proper library orientation, but this sign-in button is to manage your physical loans, where you can renew books online. You can see what books you've got out on hold and whatnot. So that one is a little separate one that you can set yourself. And to do that, you'll be prompted to set your password and pop in your student number, and it'll send you a link to set up your account. Now, back on the Library Hub main page, this is the Bible of the Library Hub, I suppose. I hope that's not heretical to say so, but we have the Library Hub guide here, which is the one-stop shop. Everything that I have said and will continue to say, all the information is available there. And we also have the style guide available there, which will be your referencing tool. And we also have EndNote available as well, the software and information about how to sign up for that. And that's the Library Hub guide. So all of the things that I've said too fast or not said at all, there'll be answers to your questions here. But obviously you can always come in, send us an email. We won't bite. So it'll be, yeah, great to hear from you. If you have any questions, you can send us, an email at mannixlibrary@ctc.edu.au. Otherwise, as I said, come in, say hi, and we're looking forward to seeing all your faces here. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Annalise. That's lovely. Thank you very much. And now it comes to our final speaker is Mr. Jude Caspers, who is our Learning Support Coordinator. Now, would you be able to stop sharing your screen, Annalise?
My computer responds to me. There we go.
Good on you.
Okay,
wonderful.
sorry.
Okay. So welcome, Jude. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. I noticed that one of the students, Jackie, asked about passwords. So I will go through that, Jacqueline, for you. That'll be covered in my talk. Okay, so just bear with me. Can everyone hear me clearly? Is it coming through okay? Yes, thank you. So my roles in the college cover ARC, our learning management system, special needs, the tutoring program, and academic writing, beyond a few other things. First of all, I want to give you some good news. We have an academic writing course coming up, and many of you might feel like you need a hand with academic writing or study organisation. I really recommend this strongly for if you're new, but I know we have students who are repeat participants, which is wonderful. I love to see them. They come back every year, and they say they learn something new every year by what we cover. So you are more than welcome. So a flyer, I'll be sending you a flyer if we have your email address. Tomorrow afternoon, you'll get this in your email. and this is how you register for the academic writing course. That's starting in week 2. Make sure, please, that you register. You can see the registration there's on the bottom of the screen. And I just ask that you register by the end of week 1, the end of, not this week, the end of next week, just so I can work out who's with who and iron out any issues. So you can see the agenda there, that'll be on your brochure, but our special guest for the first session is Annalise, who will go through even more really good detailed information and response to students' questions from the past. And we work really well together that way in that first session. We have a tutoring program, as Father Kevin mentioned. To get onto the tutoring program, just email me. I've got a couple of email addresses there. This one below might be more easy to remember than spelling my name. So we have a team of tutors at the college who are dedicated and very skilled. They may meet with you one-to-one, face-to-face, or if you are remote or you just prefer to meet with them online, that is also possible. Other support we have peer liaison officers. So these are 2 student members of the peer liaison team, and they've both finished their tenure this year. So our executive team have made a list of nominations for new people. So you'll see this on the posters around the college, especially the notice board, and there's a looped presentation in the student common room. So what do? They're there just as extra support. So you can see Lisa and myself on staff. So we've got 2 staff reps and 2 student members of the peer liaison team. So we've all been trained. We've done a PD session with the Human Rights Commission. So we're there for other things that you may not wish to go to your dean or your lecturer about. So we cover issues such as harassment, discrimination, or any other grievances you have. Or you just want a listening ear about something else, we can point you to the right direction. So there's a few programs and terms you need to get to know. One is Paradigm, which is a program that runs right throughout the university. And you might think, what is Paradigm? It's where your enrollment is entered. So when Jenny and Tarindi receive your approved application form from one of the deans, they enter it in our Paradigm. And that means you get automatic access to ARC. So the Paradigm is a site where students can view your enrollment details to check everything is correct. You can access your results at the end of semester. So Chris will send a memo out to say results are ready, and then you can go into your own account in Paradigm and access your results. The great news is that the login is the same for ARC, the Library Hub, and Paradigm. It's all the same. We make it easy for you, and we will cover how you get your password. Okay, so this is how your Paradigm account might look like. My fictitious student is Thomas Carr, and there's his entry, and you can see there's the subjects he has enrolled in. It's all there, the course, the institution. So you can do courses from other colleges as well. You can see which ones he's completed, which ones he's enrolled in, which are current. And at the end of the semester, he's done very well. It's got HD, like we like all our students to get. That's the magic number HD. So that's where your results will be. Now to ARC. What is ARC, you might wonder? It's the online learning management system. So just to put you in the picture, if you're older like me, when I was at Teachers College many years ago, I had to rush off right across Melbourne to hand in my assignment to a little box in the office. And sometimes I'd be very sad because the office door was locked and I couldn't get in, and I'd go back home very sad. So nowadays we don't do that. We put in all our assignments online, we post them online, and it really is a one-stop shop for where your lectures can give you resources, can give you access to your online classes, all sorts of things. So let's go through it. We like to picture the ARC as we go, because sometimes it does get a bit rocky, we have to admit. It is a program that runs right across the university, and sometimes we do have the occasional person falling off. But don't worry, I'm there to help you. We'll send you a lifesaver. Okay, so if ever you get caught off the ARC, just email me. So I'm giving you a warm welcome on board the ARC. We like to pick that name. It doesn't stand for anything, ARK. It just means ARC because we are a Christian university. That's something we came up with. So the main thing is, the question I ask you is, will you be keeping your head above water? You've got a week now before your classes start, at least a week. So I really implore you to start exploring ARC now rather than when your assignments are due. And here's some essential knowledge to keep you afloat, to get you on board. First of all, there's the ARC guide, which there are brochures printed for you in the booklet stands in the main foyer. And I also will be sending you an online version of this to every student in the college tomorrow afternoon with your invite to the academic writing course. So everything I say about ARC will be in that, but let's go through it just to get a good understanding. So for ARC, you need to understand, first of all, something a little bit tricky. For every unit you are enrolled in at the college, you have two corresponding web pages, not one, but two. One has readings, lectures, video links, other resources, etc. So there are resources there. Plus the other one has portals through which assignments are lodged online. So these are then run through the Turnitin database that Father Simon mentioned before. So you can look out for this Turnitin icon. Main thing is there. It might look like lecturers might call it something else, but it's got that Turnitin icon. That's where you click that, and that's where you lodge your assignment. Accessing ARC, here's the question. So first of all, you go to website address, and you should bookmark that. You don't want to keep going through the University of Divinity website because sometimes that might get blocked. So you want to come direct to us. So make sure you get in and you bookmark it, and you get a nice shortcut there, such as mine. And you can go into ARC whenever you can. That's how the login page looks like. Now, your username is the email address you gave at enrollment. So it'll be james.brown@inet.org. Just be aware though, if you normally use an uppercase letter in your email, when you're using your email, for the purpose of the username, it must all be lowercase. Otherwise, ARC will not recognize it. Okay, so it must be lowercase. Your password is automatically generated by the system. So it's the day and month of your birth, plus the last 3 digits of your University of Divinity student ID, which I believe Therindi or Jenny would have sent you by now. But if you haven't, just email one of us and we can send it to you. So example, if your date of birth was 1st of the 12th, 1995, much younger than me, and your student number was 201312543, your password would be 01 /, very important, you remember that /, there's only one /, not the backslash, so be forward, the month, and the last 3 digits, 543. Okay, so that's your password. And you can change that if you wish. But you must remember that /, very important. Lots of times I get people saying, it's not working. So when you go onto ARC for the first time, as I hope you'll do tonight, eagerly, or tomorrow, if you haven't also already done so, there's a nice tour that you can do, which I recommend you do for the first time you're in ARC. This is your dashboard, which is your home base. If ever you get lost, please report back to the dashboard. Good. I know Annalise told you how to get into the library resources, but here's a nice shortcut. You can get in through ARC. Just press that nice big icon there, and you go straight to the library hub. Unit overview is something really important. That's where your units are listed. And you'll notice a little filter button below that. Very small, I wish it would be bigger, but that's really important. That filters all the units that you are enrolled in. So there's a few choices that you can choose. You can choose a number of filters. We have one called in progress, which means your current units, future, which you may have enrolled in units already for 2nd semester, past units, they'll be there for a little while, or starred, which is your favorites folder. But I really strongly recommend that for the first time you go into ARC, you use the all except remove from view. So the all button, you'll see all your units, and then you can star them, which the booklet shows you. So if you just go to all, you see all your units listed, because sometimes the time variables, unfortunately, for ARC are not accurate. So it might be future when your unit's already started. So it could be anywhere. So if you go all, you'll make sure you capture all your units. Just click those 3 dots for your current units, or your favorites, and say star this course, and you get a nice little star there. And then from then on, you don't need to go back to all. You just go back to your starred folder or your favorites folder, and that's where all your favorites will be. Make sure to put, as Simon mentioned, the CTC student resources unit as well, which will also be there, and we'll go through that because that's somewhere where you want to go to quite often. So I mentioned before that there are 2 websites for each unit. So here's an example. If you're doing New Testament Greek A, there'll be a meta-unit version. We call parent unit, and notice it's got no code. And it's got the word meta. And you've got another version called the child unit. It's got a code, such as that. Okay, so they're the 2 versions. You might wonder why we have 2 versions. It's because our college and our university actually is very dynamic. In other unis I've been to, we might have all first years who are doing New Testament Greek 8. There'll only be first years in that, and there might be a postgraduate class later at some other place. But at this college, at this university, we have people from undergraduates, postgraduates, all in the one class. It makes it really dynamic and really interesting. But to avoid confusion when they hand in assignments, if you're undergraduate, you don't want to have to start doing a postgraduate assignment by mistake. So we have different child units. So everyone sees the meta unit, which is the parent unit, where your lecturer will put all your resources there, but each student will only see their respective child unit. Okay, so if you're an undergraduate, you'll only see the undergraduate child unit. And really the child unit really basically is for your assignments. So this could be how your dashboard is, the different views. You can choose how you list your units. So this could be an example of a dashboard. There's the meta unit, and a corresponding child unit. Does not have to be right next to it or right under. It doesn't go by rhyme or reason. So it might be somewhere else. Okay, so there's the child unit, and that's got the code. Okay, the way to remember it is, for people who are new, I make apologies, I was a primary teacher originally. Mother is a parent, and mother starts with M, and meta unit starts with M. So if you have meta unit is there, this is the parent unit. Child unit starts with C and has a code, and C for code. So that should help you at least stick in your mind that there's a unit with a child unit, a unit with a code and a unit not with a code. Just going to move our wonderful faces so I can show you this. This is a quick description of what these codes mean. So the 9 there, so CT stands for the field of study that course is in. The 9 really designates your level. So if you've got an 8 or a 9, it means you're postgraduate. If you've got a 2 or a 3 or 1 even, you'll be an undergraduate. Okay, it's just the coding. And C stands for CTC, because sometimes you might do units from other colleges. We'll have another suffix there. And the next number means the year, 2023. You may wonder why that's there, but for people who've been here for 5 years, sometimes they want to find the different units, and it does get confusing, especially for lecturers who've taught it for many years. So that year is very important. And the 2 stands for the month it's starting in. So most of your units will have a 2 at the end. But if you're doing what we call another unit that starts, I've forgotten the name of those units, Jennifer, what are they called? The units that start at other times. What are they called, Chris? The word escapes.
Intensives.
Thank you, intensive. So you might do a winter intensive or a summer intensive or semester 1 or semester 2 intensive. They start at different times of the year, and they will have different numbers. So semester 2 subjects, most of your units will have a 7 at the end. Okay, that just explains that. This is an example of what a meta unit might look like. It's different for every unit because there's, all our lecturers are unique, just as all our students are unique, and they like to present their unit. So you can see there's a rich assortment of resources there. This one's got an audio recording as well, a podcast. You can see each of these are links to different resources, direct links. You can see this unit is split up into weeks, so you can see everything is separated really well. Some units have maps for you to look at. Again, more resources and readings. I want to show you this one in particular. This is, we call this section the banner section, which is the top section of your art unit. And in here are the main things you'll see. So if you're doing an online course, you'll see a green jigsaw puzzle piece. Okay, that means that takes you to the link for your online classes. By clicking that, it takes you to another place where all your online links will be to get into your Zoom class. Other icons here, this is the child unit. You can see there's an assessment there because we've got that icon. This is online forums. So some lecturers will have online forums. Sometimes they're not for assessment. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they're just there to have chats about the reading. Sometimes you're required to respond to a reading. A very important resource in your child unit is the unit guide. By clicking that, it takes you straight to a description of your unit in detail. This is the unit guide. You can see lecturers' names, synopsis of the unit, learning outcomes. Again, the learning outcomes, and really for this particular unit, and the assessment types. And the resources, very important. So all that's in the unit guide, which should be there for you next week. Okay, what else I want to show you? Turnitin. We talked about Turnitin before. I wanted to show you something how Turnitin works. So this is what the lecturer sees. So there'll be student names next to each one. These are all submission dates that students have supplied. The ones in red went beyond the due date or due time. So that just tells the lecturer what's happening there. Assignments are submitted. That's a time, 23:31. And you can see about 15 minutes, depending on the load, because this program is actually used worldwide. And sometimes in peak times, it takes a longer time. It'll go grey first and say pending, and then you'll see a color bar appear after your assignment. So what it's doing, Turnitin is checking your similarity, and a percentage score will be given. We like the nice cool colors like blues and greens. And you can see a variety there. Sometimes they go warmer, like yellow, or even red or orange. Okay, so that's a bit of an alarm bell. But remember that we don't really go by the numbers as much as what is picked up. I've got to warn you that Turnitin is not a perfect machine. It's not human, so it picks up things we would rather not. You might have your footnotes written perfectly in the footnote section, but it might pick a similarity there. Your lecturer may have been very prolific in his or her writing, so their name might get picked up and it'll be added to your similarity score each time. So it's really does matching on the internet. So don't be too much. We just use this as an interim guide first, and lecturers are encouraged to go in and see. So if it's a warmer color, they'll definitely go in to have a look and see what actually has been picked up. And you can see this is where the scores arrive for lecturers who mark online. You can see the scores have got no relevance to the actual similarities. Okay, so we are concerned about similarities, but we are not really watching it religiously. Okay, so it's really what is picked up. And I'm happy to answer any more questions about that, especially I'll be talking about that in depth at my academic writing course. This is another view of how you can present your units on the dashboard. I just want to highlight the CTC student resources, so please make sure you star that, because that has very important information. This is when you open it up, what you'll see. I have I think I have 3 portals now, practice portals, so you can actually practice submitting your assignment online, and it goes into a dummy website, so it doesn't affect the similarity, but you'll get a similarity score, some example of it, and it gives you an idea, and then you can see, oh, what's been highlighted. You can go in and see what's been highlighted. You can open up your essay and think, I forgot to reference that. Or I can put this into, I can paraphrase this, I got this information, but it's obviously too close to the original scholar who wrote the original source that I looked at. So really important that you have a go at that. Tells you how to upload your assignment, how to review similarity items, lots of important information. The ARC student guide, I'll update that soon. It's an online practice link and another link to the university style guide. Okay, so I can take you through to how and again, I'll be going through that in my academic writing course. I want to take you to the next section, academic forms, and the important forms that Simon mentioned are also here. I'll just go back to that, I think. Lectures extension form, lots of different things. Okay, so important to look up under academic forms first. Academic resources, another one. And we keep updating these information as we go through. Assessment, lots of information on assessment. Some people ask, how do I present my assignments? Sample cover page, sample essay from the style guide, policy about extensions and late penalties, copyright, all sorts of important information that we add on there. All my information I give in my academic writing course. So if you want to start early, you can have a look at what I covered last year, which is there. And library resources, that's updated as well. This is an old shot, but lots of library resources there. And the link to this orientation session, should you wish to look at it again and go through it again, will be under orientation. So when can I get onto ARC? You can get onto ARC now. You can see CTC student resources. It's available for you. But each unit only goes live 7 days prior to the first class. So if you are starting on Monday, your class should be available now. Okay, your unit should be available now. So if it's not there, it just means that 7 day people from your first class. Okay. You can go in and have a look at your units, especially the meta units, lots of resources, and your unit guide in the child unit. Okay. Again, very important. If you ever run into help, I'm your first call to do with ARC. Okay. So email is preferable. I'm available all during the week. If you want to see me personally, just give you an idea where I am. It's a main entry. There's Chris's office, reception. Go through, and I'm straight down this corridor here, learning support coordinator. Okay. If I'm not available, you can always email me there. If I'm not available, Chris, my next door neighbor, will be there to help you if it's urgent. He's on room 23. And that's all. So I look forward to seeing as many of you as possible at the academic writing course. Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Jude Casmus, thank you very much. We've only got very little to go now. I'd like very quickly to ask Dr. Paul Sharkey to give a wave out and just to say a quick hello. If you're there, Paul, if you could unmute yourself. And
thank you, Chris. I did wave, but I'll wave again just so people can see who I am, and I'm looking forward to meeting those of you I haven't yet met at some time in the coming semester.
thank you, Paul. Dr. Sharkey is the postgraduate coordinator, and those of you who are doing postgraduate work will quite possibly already have had contact with him. I also would like to introduce to you very briefly Dr. Francis Baker. We've got a number of you are involved in the GCTRE program, and I'm just going to ask Francis if she can answer probably a couple of the questions that are burning in your minds at the moment.
Thanks, Chris, and welcome to everyone, and great to see faces of people I've been writing to over the January period into February. I just wanted to say to you, as you're aware, your class is not until Saturday week, and so your processing is towards the end. So you can't explore ARC yet. You won't receive your letters from the university with your student number on them until about the Wednesday of next week. Jenny, that's what we're looking at. And that is, and so you won't get the material tomorrow because you're not yet in the system. Some of you know you've been sending me material even this week. So you'll get an email from me next Monday, and that will give you some information that you need. And by that stage, we'll have a better timeline for when you should receive your letter from the university, which has your student ID, which then allows you to get onto ARC. But all of the material, nearly all the material's there, you just can't get into it. So if you've got any other queries, you've all got my email, you can contact me directly. So thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Francis. So we've come to the end, and I just want to take 30 seconds to take you on a whirlwind tour of CTC. So for those of you who are going to come in and be physically present at any time, whether you're doing lectures or for some other reason, let's just have a very quick tour of the college in case you're not entirely familiar with it. Excuse me a minute. Here we go. I'm just going to share my screen with you to show you where we are. and that's not working for me. Jenny might have a look and see if she can share that for me. Let me quickly take you through. As you walk off Victoria Parade into the CTC property, you walk through those beautiful glass doors that'll open for you. And as you look to the right, walking in, this is where we've got the reception. So the lovely V and Martin will be there to greet you at reception and direct you anywhere you need to go. Just down the corridor to the right of reception is where the registrar's office is, and also the academic records office. So Jenny and Tarindi will be there to meet you. Coming back out, as you look to your left, as you walk in the main door of the college, there's another glass door. Go down there, and that's the wing that takes you to the lecture theatres, where most of your lectures will be if you're doing lectures on site. Come back out to the doors sitting right behind us. And thank you, Jenny. If we could quickly scroll through there. Oh, we'll stop at that one very, very quickly. Take a note, we've got trams and buses that will bring you to CTC, and they're available right outside. Jenny's showing you there what we call the Knox notice board. That's where all of the kind of paper notices that you need to be familiar with will be posted on a regular basis. That notice board is just outside the Knox lecture hall. So very important place for you to know. Thanks, Jenny. The student common room, as you come in the main doors of the college, keep walking and it's over to the left. A lovely garden to the left of you as you're walking past. You go to the left, and that is where the student common room is for you to have morning teas, etc., and to gather there. Thank you, Jenny. Now, those stairs are very important. I want to point out a couple of things. Ultimately, they lead you into the wonderland of the library. If you look at the column to the left that is holding up the ceiling, and beyond that, you can see the lift door. What that pillar is obscuring right there is a little corridor that'll take you to the lower ground or to the ground floor toilet facilities. So women's on the right and men's on the left. If you go upstairs, at the end of the stairs, in about the same position as where the toilets are there are upstairs toilets as well. Thank you, Jenny. And this is the library. So that's just at the top of those stairs, makes itself pretty obvious. This is our beautiful chapel, where as often as we're able, we will celebrate the Mass together during the week. And we look forward to that. We've got lots of beautiful places for you to stop and have conversations or quiet thoughts to yourself. Beautiful garden outside with statue of Our Lady there and some picnic tables and chairs. Beautiful spot to just stop and relax and reflect. And that's about it. Now, Jenny, if you'd mind unsharing that there, we can see everybody. I have no doubt that there are questions among you. If we started to answer your questions live tonight, I think we could be going on for some time. And I think we've had you for a permissible time at this moment, but it might go beyond that. If you have questions, you might like to enter them now briefly on the chat. If you've something desperate you want to ask that hasn't been cleared up for you yet, or you could certainly email me or Jude, and we could direct your questions to the appropriate people if we don't have the answers immediately ourselves. So you've seen our names. If you just hover over somebody or hover over the screen, you'll see names come up. A CTC email address is all lowercase, first name dot second name @ctc.edu.au. That's an easy way in. So look, thank you so much to all of our presenters tonight. Thank you for being present with us. It's been great to see you all, and we look forward to engaging with you over the coming week and a bit. And we do hope that your settling in will be as easy and as comfortable as possible. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.